Intro. I found myself alone even though I'm around people. My vision fades in and out. Chapter 1. Living by the Gun. It's April 29th, 1980, East Los Angeles. We just got back from my mother's friend's funeral. My mother never had a good life. Her father killed himself when she was 6 and walked in and saw him hanging himself and her mother. After that, got into drugs and took her into trap houses and would have sex for drugs right in front of my mother when she was a little girl. My mother turned out like her mom 'cause she is addicted to heroin, and there's no one else in the home because my father is in prison for drug dealing, and I had a brother but he got hit by a stray bullet about a year ago. Mom, are you shooting up again? I thought you were done with this shit, I say. Fuck you if you don't like it. Got the fuck out of my house, you little motherfucker. You look just like your piece of shit dad. My mother says, fuck this shit, I'm out. I slam the door, grabbing my gun and putting it in my waistband on the way out. To cool off, my mother is like this every day. I'm 16, but I don't got a license or a permit to drive, but I do it anyway. I open up my mom's car door and back out the driveway to go meet up with the homies on the block. Yeah, I bang, but that doesn't define who I am. My homies call me Sleepy, but my real name is Javier Escala. But they call me Sleepy 'cause when I was a little more younger, I used to be sloppy and get caught with my crimes I did. Now I get away almost every time. I pull up at my homie Lil Puppet's apartment and knock his door. He opens up with a 40 in his hand with my other 2 homies in the back, Scar and Carlos, with a bunch of girls on each of their laps. What's up, dog? What's going on? I say, walking in, inviting myself in his apartment. Shit, just kicking back foo, Puppet says. Scar quickly interjects and says, yo, kick these hyenas out, I'm trying to do some shit. After Scar says that Puppet had no hesitation, y'all get the fuck out, go work some corners, he says, closing the door on them the second they stepped a foot out. I east where you followed. Carlos says, come on foo, I never get followed. I say, well shit, you got the name Sleepy for a reason, he says laughing. Yeah, whatever dog, I say. We head out the apartment, I go to get into my mom's car and they hop in. I cruise down the block waiting to see what's up and what's the plan right after, wondering that the homie Puppet says, yo dog, pull up next to that wall right there, those putos crossed us out. I pull up to the wall with our tag that got crossed out. The homie Scar hops out, gets to spraying and fixin'. That motherfucker's got talent, Carlos says as we watch him. And the distance of the night, making sure no one sees us. I, Vado, hurry the fuck up. Right as Scar gets done, shots ring out, one hitting Scar in the chest. Me, Puppet, and Carlos hop out, blasting, ducking behind the car. I rush to the homie Scar on the ground, bleeding out, to bring back behind the car, but as I see if he's alive, Hez not breathing, get him in the back of the car, I say, and we pick him up and putting him in the car while still shooting, trying to survive. My homies Puppet and Carlos are in the back, trying to keep him alive, and I get in the driver's seat and speed off.
Chapter 2. Backstab. Fuck SA, what we do? I say. He's fucking gone, just dump him in my apartment, Puppet yells. But as we pull up to the apartment and carry his body to the room, a cop finds us and runs straight our way. Puppet runs one way, and me and Carlos run the same way down an alley. Sir, get on the floor now, the officer says, but me and Carlos keep running. I've been locked up many times, but it's a bitch to be in there, I think, as me and Carlos are running. As we are running, I throw my gun, stashing it into a pile of trash, and I don't know what Carlos did with his. As we exit the alley, we run across the street, but not without a police car hitting both us, knocking us to the floor, and 2 officers rush out and arresting us right there, sending us right into the back of the cruiser. We arrive and we get placed in separate holding cells. Then I get escorted to an interrogation room. I get sat down and they get straight to business. First thing the detective said was, tell me whose gun this is. Putting the gun I threw. Couldn't tell you, that's not mine, I say. I know it's one your guys' gun, the detective says in an intimidating tone. My mind is racing. What do I say? Do you know where you at? That could be anyone's gun, I say. All right then, I'll bring your little friend in here, see what he has to say to you. He opens the door and signals to an officer to escort Carlos to the same room. "I'll leave you guys to it," the detective says, shutting the door behind him. "What the fuck's happening right now?" Carlos says, "They found the gun through and they know it's one of ours. Look, I'll take the blame. I'm a minor. I won't get that much time as you." I say, "Nah, fuck that. That's the exact reason you ain't taking the blame, cause you're just a kid. I'm almost 20 years old still doing this shit. You got potential. I don't." "I know you want out this shit, mano. I see it in your eyes," Carlos says. I sit there not saying a thing due to the realization I do want out this life, but I can't leave. "But Carlos, you're looking at like 10 years at least and you're on your last strike, so whatever that number will be, it ain't worth it," I say. We hear footsteps coming to the door. "Shut the fuck up, it's my gun," Carlos quickly says before the detective entered the room. The detective opens the door and spewing nothing out his mouth but silence, staring at me, and Carlos with handcuffs sitting across the table from each other. The detective says in an ominous aura gaining tone, "So, whose is it?" Carlos stares at me and says while holding contact, "It's my gun." "Your gun?" The detective asks. "You heard me," Carlos says. "All right then, stand up, hands behind your back," the detective says while another cop releases me. Unlike my homie Carlos, he's 19, so he's heading straight to the pen. Carlos is my homie. He's always been down for me. I can't let him taking the blame for the gun be in vain. When I walk out the police station, I see Lil Puppet in the parking lot just sitting there on the hood of his car. "What the fuck are you doing here in the open like this?" I exclaimed. "Chill out, fool, get in the car." I get in the car and I say, "What are you doing here?" In response, he says, "I followed the cop car you guys went into because when I ran the other way, I went around passing the end of that alley y'all ran down, and I saw y'all running across the street and get hit by the car, so I got in my car and followed carefully." Me and Puppet sit there staring at each other in silence. After about 5 seconds, I say, "You're one stupid motherfucker." He laughs in response, then shifts the car and backs up out the parking lot. Halfway to his apartment, he says, "Damn, it's already 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm taking your ass home." "Come on, dog, just let me stay at your crib for tonight. I hate going to my broke-down ass house," I say, annoyed tone. "Hell, Navato, you're going home." So I go home. Once I arrive, I go home and the door was just wide open. "What the fuck?" I say, concerned. "Fuck, I don't got my gun," I say in my head. I enter with caution close and lock the door behind me very slowly and quietly and expecting to see all of our stuff stolen, but how slow I creep is how slow it takes to reveal that nothing has been stolen. Nothing at all. What the hell is going on? I speak under my breath. My tension eases, so I walk down to my mother's room because it's the only door closed while looking in the other rooms while walking there, and once I'm at the door I try opening it, but it's locked. "Mama, open up the door." No answer. "Damn, she dead asleep," I whisper. I head to bed to sleep off this crazy-ass day. Next morning I get dressed and head out walking past my mother's room with the door still closed. I then hear banging on the door along with the words being shouted, "Los Angeles police, open up." "Fuck," I say and then sneak out the back. I know my mom is gonna kill me after this. I sneak out the back, hopping the fence into the neighbor's yard, then onto the street, so I call up the homie Lil Puppet and say, "Yo, the fucking Juraz wasn't done with my ass." Lil Puppet immediately says in response, "Shit, I'm not at the crib right now, find somewhere to hide out." I think to myself, fuck, that's too risky. So I see a car across the street, so I quickly run to it. My homie Carlos taught me to steal my first car ever when I was 12, so I used the skill he gave me to take this one. I quickly try grabbing the door handle just to realize it's unlocked. Then I get to hot wiring. I'm being very shaky and trying to be fast and being very inaccurate. I can't let those cops see me. They're gonna be searching this whole damn hood for me. My heart is pumping full of adrenaline. I get the car running. I start driving to a secluded alleyway and park the car and shut off the lights and lay low for a while. Then 30 minutes later I get a call from Puppet saying, "I'm at the crib, come by." As I'm rolling to Puppet's house, I roll by my house and see the cops aren't really in the area anymore, so I park up real quick and go inside to get my mom's gun. She has in her closet. As I get close, the door is busted in, but it doesn't even look like they searched the place, 'cause my mom's door is still locked. I frantically try opening it. "Mom, wake the fuck up already," I yell at her. I had enough. I kick in the door with all my might, then I see my mother asleep, but what I saw lying next to her put the fear of God into me. All I see is a spoon and needles all on the bed, Mama. I walk up to her and I try shaking her awake, but she wouldn't wake the fuck up. I yell at her, "You're just asleep, right, Mom?" I say with tears rolling down my face and with anger rising in my mind. After trying to wake her and finally it sinking in that she is gone, I give up and quickly storm off, grabbing my mother's gun from her closet, then run out the house and straight to the car I stole and sped off heading to Puppet's house. And as I'm driving I see police cars searching the area. I quickly duck my head to hide my face, and after that stressful drive I finally make to my homie's house and get out checking over my shoulder making sure no one sees me. I quickly enter his apartment, close the door, and shut the blinds without even looking at Puppet, and I immediately peep out the blinds making sure no one is coming to the door. Fuck dude, my mom is fucking dead, dude, fucking dead, I cry out. And out of the dark background of the rest of the apartment without seeing Puppet, I hear him say from the darkness, "Javier Esquela, you're under arrest," he says while walking out from the darkness. And I turn around and we both look each other in the eye. "Turn around and hands behind your back, you're under arrest for attempted murder and so many other crimes," he says, showing an FBI badge and handcuffs. "You motherfucker, I thought you were familiar." He doesn't say a word and takes a step towards me. I quickly turn to open the door, but it's blocked by something, so I look out the peephole and it's 3 officers holding it shut. "Fuck you," I say, and quickly try pulling out my gun. But he tackles me and throws my gun and arrests me right there in what you thought was my homie's apartment. The same one I've been going to by the same person who thought was down for me. Chapter 3. Life or Death. I stare out the back window of the police car heading to the juvenile detention hall. I feel the most betrayed I've ever felt all the years I known Puppet. He was a Fed the whole time. Now it makes sense that his name is Puppet, I say. Now it's starting to add up. When we got into that shootout, he only fired 1 shot. And that was at the ground, nothing else. And that's why he was just sitting outside the station after the shootout. He was waiting to see. I got arrested. This is fucked, I whispered to myself. "What was that?" the officer driving asks me after hearing me mumble what I said. I didn't answer him. I just continued looking out the window, looking at neighborhood for the last time until a few years, I predict. Finally, we arrive at the juvenile detention hall and they place me in a holding cell and go over my identity and all my papers and things like that, but I'm staying here till court, which is tomorrow. Court starts tomorrow at 8:30. Next morning I'm awoken by batons banging on the bars so they can take me to court as I'm in the back of the car. You don't know how bad I wanted to smoke this pig. About 30 minutes later we arrive at the courthouse. I've always hated the nervous feeling of walking into the courtroom and sitting down with all the people behind me are staring right at me. Be seated. We are here for the matter of State versus defendant. Case involving 4 counts of attempted murder, 6 counts of armed robbery, 2 counts of grand theft auto, and disorderly conduct. Counsel, are we ready to proceed? The judge asks. I think to myself, I'm fucked, I'm never gonna get out. Your Honor, the state will present evidence that the defendant participated in a series of coordinated criminal acts over a long period of time. The defendant is charged with 4 counts of attempted murder, stemming from separate incidents in which multiple victims were shot at during armed encounters, demonstrating a clear disregard for human life. The defendant is also charged with 6 counts of armed robbery, involving the use of a firearm to take property directly from victims under threat of violence. Additionally, there are 2 counts of grand theft auto, where vehicles were unlawfully taken and used during flight from law enforcement. Finally, the state includes a charge of disorderly conduct related to actions that created significant public disturbance during the same sequence of events. The evidence will show these were not isolated incidents, but a connected pattern of violent felonies that endangered multiple members of the public. I sit there mean-mugging the judge the whole time the voices in the back drain out. I've given up. I'm pleading guilty. I don't care where I go or what happens to me. Counsel, are you alleging premeditation for all the attempted murder charges? The judge asks. Yes, Your Honor. Evidence includes witness testimony and surveillance footage. I don't have a defense attorney, so I'm absolutely fucked. After review of the evidence presented, including witness testimony, surveillance footage, and physical evidence, the court finds the defendant guilty of all charges that includes 4 counts of attempted murder, 6 counts of armed robbery, 2 counts of grand theft auto, and 1 count of disorderly conduct. I will be sentencing you, Mr. Esquela, to 15 years in the state penitentiary with no chance of parole. This court is adjourned. When I was walking out the courtroom, I swear I saw the devil in the seat in the very back corner of the room with his devious smile. But it wasn't the devil with red skin and horns. He looked like a man, but an evil man. About 6 hours later, I enter my cell in the penitentiary. It's so different from juvie. I never been to a real penitentiary. But it ain't no thing but thing is I'm gonna have to get used to it for the next 15 years. I for what you in for? And another inmate asked me. I can tell he bangs by the way he carries himself. I just have to see if he's a rival. A lot. I say. I responds to him. Well, damn, you look young. You must have done some fucked up shit. He says. Sure. I say. Again, dry and simple. You bang, issy? He says. Yeah, I do. Surano Florencia 13 is. He nods and walks off. I think I have a problem later on now. But then we get the announcement that it's time for lights out. Tonight I'm sleeping with one eye open. I haven't even spoken to my cellmate and I'm bottom bunk. It's gonna be a long night. I sit there what felt like all night staring at the exit to the cell. Next morning I awake to the banging on the bars from the batons, then gates opening. We all head down to the showers, and as I'm in the shower I look behind me, and from what I can see past the water dripping in my eyes, it's a man walking up to me fully clothed. Oh shit, I say to myself, and then I wipe my eyes and see it's the same guy that asked me if I bang with a makeshift shank in his hand and charges at me with it. He stabs me right in my forearm due to me trying to block. I grab his hand with the shank, while my other punches him in the face, so does he. But his punch was stronger, but he drops the shank, so I pick it up and proceed to stab him in the chest, but he still fights, but he's unstable now. So unstable he falls over against the wall, so I pick up his head and knee him right in his head repeatedly. The guards had to break it up. They beat me pretty bad and put me in the slammer. I got put in the slammer for about 3 months. I had a lot of time to think in there, and when I stepped out, my life would forever change for the good. As I'm in the yard, a man walks up to me, not to ask what I'm in for, but how long I'm in for. You're young. How long you in here for? About 15 years, I respond. So you can get out someday. That's good. See, I'm in here for the rest of my life. But I changed. I had a lot of time to think. I want to help you do the same. The man says, oh yeah? How so? I say, meet me in the library tomorrow. I'll show you. All right, cool. I respond in a acceptance tone of voice. Oh, one more thing. What's your name? He asks me. He looks at me for a second and says, Javier. All right. I'll see you then. I don't know how, but that guy was so different from the rest of the people here. The next day I go to the library and sure enough he's there and looks weirdly excited to see me. Hey man, I'm glad you came, the man says in response. I say, what's this about anyway? I want to help you so you don't go down the same life I'm in, the man says. The man had me read books from there on every other day. And to be honest, he's changed me a little, my mentality. The way I carry myself and just the overall way, I still have enemies I gotta deal with every now, but it will only be self-defense. One of the books he had read was the Holy Bible. It really opened my eyes. It's the next morning, and I can't believe how that man changed my way of thinking in just a couple of months being here. I went to the cafeteria, I was in line, and I get cut by this guy. Yo, excuse me, you just cut me, vato, I say, and in the middle of my sentence, I realize on the back of his bald head was a swastika. Yeah, and what about it, spick? The skinhead says, don't fuck with me. I say, I should hang you alongside with that nigger you talk to every morning. It took my all to hold back on this man, so I just backed off and let him cut, and that was it. So I go get my food and sit down at the very back of the cafeteria so I could keep an eye on everyone. Hours later, I head to the library to find that man, but I walk by a cell with what it looked like someone sleeping on the floor at the peripheral of my vision. I backpedal, and what I saw brought out my old self and filled me with rage. The man that was changing me is dead in his cell. I know exactly who did this, and I'm gonna do something about it. Chapter 4. The final stretch, I make a makeshift shank, and the next morning during yard time with no one noticing, I walk by him and shank him his stomach and sliding the blade, ripping his stomach more. As I walked away, I could hear him choke on his own blood. I was satisfied with the results of my action. I liked hearing that motherfucker in pain and fear. I had to be quick with what I did. I rubbed the shank all over a sleeping prisoner's hand to overwhelm my prince. It's been a few days, nobody has caught me for what I've done, not yet anyways. I tell myself every day I'm gonna change for the better when I'm out of here, but the devil is on my shoulder and it makes me think if I want to even change. The fact that I killed a man just now sinks in. I really killed a man. I'm only 17, then I accept my situation and say to myself, fuck it, I'm gonna be the top dog here. I started with the biggest guy I could take during free time. I walked up to this other inmate and chin checked, and then I just kept going on him until the guards pulled me off of him. But once again they put me in the slammer. They put me in there for a month. A month later, I started hanging with a clique that was in the same gang as me. But it might have been a big mistake. I was hanging with my clique in the yard, and we saw the Aryan Brotherhood members mean mugging us. Specifically me. One of the members that hang in the clique is Spooky, and he was the first one to start walking towards them, and once he did, we did. Spooky says, "What the fuck is up, fool?" After Spooky said that, all hell broke loose. One of the Aryans threw a punch into one of the members of my clique, so we all threw punches. It turned into a gang war or brawl, however you want to call it. I hear the guards sound the sirens and they deployed tear gas and told us to lay on the floor. But I was already on the floor before I knew it because I didn't realize till I saw the blood on me that I was stabbed in my stomach. I tried to get up, but I was too weak. I couldn't even lift my head. My ears start ringing, then everything goes black. I wake up to doctors working on me urgently and in a panic. Then everything went black again. I woke up once again to stitches on my stomach. And in pain, I was in that medical bed for about 3 weeks. It sucks. I would rather be getting stabbed again. 3 weeks later, I finally get out that bed and go back to the cell. I'm just sitting looking over the balcony. I regret the last word spoken to my mom was, 'cause it was, "Fuck you." I'm still confused why those damn cops didn't search the place at all and not find my mom. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. As I think all this, I see inmates with trays and weights from the yard, and they are sneaking up on a guard. I don't know why, but I didn't bother to help him. The man with the weight slammed it on the guard's head as hard as he could, and it knocked him to the floor, and the man with the tray kept jabbing him in the face with the edge of the tray, and the man with the weight wouldn't stop. He showed no remorse. I get a closer look, and the officer's face is caved in, but they didn't stop for at least 5 minutes until the guards finally saw and broke it up. I began to sleep and carry with me a shank made from a toothbrush. One of the homies from the clique told me that one of the homies got jumped by one of the Aryans. He says, "Where's he at?" I ask. "He's in the laundry room folding laundry." I go to the laundry room with my shank, and it's the same guy that stabbed me. He pushes a cart full of clothes near the back of the laundry room where no one can really see, so I make my move. I sneak up, keeping my head down, and with him bending over the cart trying to reach for something, I stab him in the neck countless times, then dumped his body in the cart and put it with the rest of the carts and just let someone find the body. I seen a prisoner grab the cart to transport it, but that one had the body and the guard has to search the cart first. I watch from a distance. The officer immediately starts beating the man that just got framed, so I left while the guard is distracted. The next day I really question my actions and I want to change. My homie offers to give me a tattoo in his cell. Yeah, I'm down. I respond, "What tat you want, dog?" He asks, "I want 2 teardrops below my eye right here," I say. As I'm getting this tattoo, I finally make up my mind I'm gonna change for good. I need to be prepared when I get out here someday. I've been here for about 3 years now. I'm starting to develop. I'm now 20, and I've gotten a lot smarter. I stopped hanging with the gang so much, and I've been on good behavior. And the parole board has been thinking of releasing me because of my good behavior. And I don't know how the hell, because I've done some fucked up shit, but that's Cali for you. The next day I have a meeting with the parole board to ask if I am granted permission to be on parole, but they never did. Unfortunately, I guess. I'll have to try another day. I'm walking to the exit to go out into the yard, but I instead get dragged into a cell with multiple inmates. And they all stabbed me over and over about 6 times. The guards saw the chaos and broke it up and like always threw them to the ground and damn near batted their heads in with the batons. I thought for sure I was gonna die. I look up while blood floods out of me, and I see a bright light opening up the ceiling. I don't even know how to explain it, but I know for sure it was God. They then carry me to the ER, but everything felt like slow motion. Nothing felt real. It even hurts to turn my head, and I feel super tired. I keep telling myself this is it. My pulse and heart rate is super low, but that eventually went to normal. I took about a year for a full recovery. I really asked myself, why the fuck did those motherfuckers stab me? First thing in the morning, I go to the parole board and ask for permission. They granted my access. Chapter 5. Die by the gun. I am now 21 out on parole. No one was there to wait for me outside except my homie Carlos. "What's up, fool? Fresh out the pen, homie. How you feeling?" Carlos asked with excitement. "Shit, man, I feel like a new man. How you know when I was getting out?" I asked. "Well, I got out like a year ago and I just kinda got all the info. But fuck all that. I heard Lil Puppet was a fucking snitch fool. But it's fine, they dealt with his." Carlos says, "Listen, homie, speaking of all that gangbanging shit, I ain't down no more like I used to, dog. I was just a kid. I'm 21 now. I'm out the game, homie," I say. Carlos looks at me with concern, then says, "Shit dog, you have grown up. Remember when you were just a youngster? But I get it, he'll catch you later, homie." Alright, cool. I walking away. I don't got a ride, so I had to take the bus. I officially have no family. It's just me. I dream I'll get to have a family one day, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I get off at the bus stop and I realized I got nowhere to stay. For some reason I decide to walk by my old house. The one where my mother died, the one where I lived by the gun, and the one where I used to bang in my gang days. As I walk near the house, I see that it is all abandoned, nothing left but rubble inside from what I can see in the windows. I walk up to the windows to get a closer look, and buried amongst the rubble was a picture in a picture frame. Was a photo of me and my mother together. Like I haven't felt in so long, I feel a tear roll down my face. I quickly wiped them and had to find a place to live, so I went to the homeless shelter. I was on a 3-day waiting list, so until then I had to sleep on the streets. The heat was unbearable. I just wanted to strip naked and sleep, but obviously I can't go back to jail. 3 days later, I go to the homeless shelter and I got a room. They gave me a list with available jobs I could get. But the thing is, I don't know what job is gonna hire me with teardrops on my face. Man, I really regret these tats. The next morning about 7 o'clock, I went to the bathroom and made myself look better. Then ever since I got out of prison. I look like a caveman. I shaved my beard, cut my hair. I don't have the best clothes on, but that's not gonna stop me from getting a job. I went to get interview at a construction cleanup job. $6 an hour, that's real damn good. The man that I was being interviewed by had real kind eyes. I felt he could see my pain. "Why do you want this job, Mr. Esquella?" The interviewer says, "I just need to get back on my feet and get my life together, and I'm a real hard worker. And if I get this job, I will not let you. You're hired, you start tomorrow. 7 a.m. Have a good day." He says, completely not letting me finish what I was saying, but at that moment I didn't care. I was nearly jumping for joy inside. I walk out the building with a smile on my face. Later in that night, I go to the bar to have a little beer to celebrate. As I was there, this woman, a beautiful woman, walked up to me. "Where you from?" she asked me upon arrival to me. I don't bang, I say. She laughs and says, "No, seriously, where you from?" "I don't bang either." "Here." "Why?" I respond, "Well, you're cute." She says, "You think so, huh?" I say, "Yeah, what, am not your type?" She responds, "Well, I never said that, did I?" I say. She then jumps topics and says, "So how many years?" I respond with 4 years out on parole. I could tell she used to also bang back in her day, the way carries herself, the way she speaks. "What's your name anyway?" We never asked that part. I ask. She then responds, "I guess you're right, Maria." She put her hand to shake mine, so I shake hers and say, "Carlos." She then invites me back to her house and I accept. When we arrived, we were hanging out, sat on the couch, but then we got close and kissed and held the kiss till we moved to her bed. A few days later, I get off work and head to the shelter, and there's a call for me, and it's Maria. She calls me crying and she says, "Carlos." She cries out, What's going on?" I ask in a fearful voice, "Need to talk to you." Maria says. I then say, "Okay, what is it?" She then struggles to say, "I am pregnant." My whole world shook when she said those words. "Nah, that ain't mine, I can't be." I say, "Carlos, you're the only one I've had sex with in a long time, it's yours." I then say, "Well, you're gonna keep it, right?" "Should I?" she asks. I respond, "Well, yeah, you should. We decided to fuck without protection. We can't kill it, 'cause we don't want the consequences." "Okay, I'll talk to you later, I have to go." Then she hangs up. Even though I barely know the woman, I feel a little bit of joy because I've always wanted a child, and I finally have one. The next day, after I'm off work, I ride the bus to her house and I knock on her door. "Who is it?" she says on the other side of the door. "Your baby daddy," I responded. She then opens the door and says, Hey, I respond as I walk in. "How you feeling?" I ask. "I've been nauseous all day," she responds. I then lay her on the couch and get her a drink of water as I massage her. We both held an eye contact in silence for a few seconds, then I look away. We stayed for hours and fell asleep together on the couch. There is something about Maria I've never felt before, but I don't want to get too deep in my feelings. The next morning I wake up and she's still asleep, so I kiss her in the forehead and leave her a letter that I'll be gone at the store to buy her some things to help with her nausea, so I took the bus all the way there. And when I arrived, I walk into the store and see some people I recognize, so I immediately look down, trying not to be recognized because they were some of the same people that I used to bang with. I felt their eyes on me. I quickly grabbed the things I needed and checked out, but I had to wait for the bus. I can hear their footsteps catching her with me as I'm exiting the store. Then as I leave, I see them walk right past me. I was able to hear my heartbeat in my ears. I thought the worst was gonna happen. I just need to get back home, that's it. I wait for the bus for about 10 minutes, then it arrives. I think to myself how weird it is. I feel excited to see Maria. I've never felt this way with any woman in my life. Not that I've seen much women in my lifetime since I've been in prison. The bus stops at the designated spot, so I walk to Maria's house, and there she was on the couch on the phone with the doctor. I silently put the items on the coffee table in front of her. Okay, bye, Maria says, hanging up the phone. That the doctor? I ask. Yeah, they basically told me everything is fine and the baby is healthy. She says, okay, well, that's good. I say, then walk to the kitchen to cook Maria some food. Then Maria walks up to me and kisses me and says, Carlos, I love you. I was shocked when she said those words. I was almost scared to say it back, so instead of saying it, I kissed her back, then said, your food will be done in a second. So she sits down on the couch looking at me with either love or lust in her eyes. I can't tell the difference. I walk over and sit her plate on the table for her, then sat down next to her, and I laugh and say, you know, it's funny that this to me is the dream life. When I was younger, the only way I saw my future was dead on my back on somebody's lawn, you know, I say in jest. Maria then responds and says, me too. I used to bang to, you know, she says back to me. I respond in a playful manner. No shit, why else would I see you with some skinny-ass eyebrows and an old gang tat, I say while laughing. She then says, shut up, puto, my eyebrows are fly, she says laughing. I then respond saying, yeah, fly away, I say still laughing while she does the same. Hey Maria, I was thinking about something. I was thinking, why don't we move up out of here, you know, out the hood, away from the killing, I suggest. Carlos, we don't possibly have enough money for that, Maria says. I quickly interjected and said, no, I know we will give it time, but it's something I want us to do. Maria looks at me for a second, hesitating, then says, all right, let's do it. Then I say, all right, cool, I'll start saving my paychecks anyway. I'll be right back and mow the lawn real quick, it's getting long. Then I kiss her and say, I love you too. I never thought I would be planning my future with such a beautiful woman. Then I walk out the door and grab the lawnmower and get to mowing. Maria gets a call from the doctor's office and they tell her about the gender of the baby, and she was the most excited she's been, so she makes a decision to tell me when I'm done mowing. About 30 minutes in, I finish and I put the mower back, but not without seeing a car pull up in front of the house and park. Then I see my old friend Carlos get out the car. Carlos, what are you doing here? I asked in such confused tone. I got a message for you, my former friend Carlos says. 5 gunshots rang out and car tires peel out. I can only see the sky, and I can only hear what's happening because I've been shot by old friend, and now I'm bleeding out on the love of my life's lawn. Everything goes black, but I can still hear what's happening, but it feels like my eyes are opened, but I can't see. Carlos! Carlos! I hear Maria cry out. My whole is flashing before my eyes, and while that happens, I hear the mix of Maria's cries and sirens. Then it's like I appeared in the hospital hallway with doctors screaming and running my body on the stretcher down the hallway with Maria running with them. I try to speak, but I can't even move anything of my body. My vision keeps going black. I don't know why, but I found myself alone even though I'm around people. My vision fades in and out. They throw me on the hospital bed and do everything they can to keep me alive. 21 years old, November 17th, 6:45 p.m. I am pronounced dead because I lived by the gun, so I had to die by the gun. As the dirt hits the wood above me, I hear nobody but Maria say she loves me. She comes to my grave at night and says, I miss the way you hug me, and that our child will live strong and perfectly healthy. It is time for me to enter my spiritual form. Everything came back to bite because of all the things I did. So I lost my life over something I did as a kid.